Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For anyone that's new to the channel, welcome. My name is Connor Diblin. I'm a fourth year medical student currently studying at King's College London. You've seen the title of the video. I'm going to be talking today about money in medical school. Let's face it, medical school is expensive. The BMA, so the British Medical Association, which is like the union for doctors in the UK, says that most doctors graduate medical school with between £65,000 and £80,000 in student finance debt. This is quite a lot less than in the States. I know that in America, most doctors are leaving school and starting working as a doctor with about $250,000, but it's not insignificant. This can really freak a lot of people out, and I think it freaked me out a little bit when I first realised how much I currently owe. But please don't let it deter you from studying medicine. Why not? Well, it's because this debt is very different from any other type of debt. No other debt is going to be like this in your life. In the UK, the student finance system, the borrowing of money by students to pay for their tuition fees and their maintenance, is quite complicated. All of the different countries that make up the UK have their own rules, but we're going to talk about England today. So the majority of students studying in England borrow money from the Students' Finance Company. This money that they borrow is made up of two parts. On one hand, we have the tuition fee loans, and for the majority of students, that's going to be about £9,000 a year. The other side of the money, that's the maintenance loan. Tuition fees, I think they're pretty self-explanatory. This is the cost of the course. This is what the medical school or your university, if you're not medical school, is getting from you via the Student Finance Company to pay for your course. The maintenance loan, that's to cover the cost of living. So that's rent, food, bills, clothes, going out, travel, everything. In England, the amount of maintenance loan you can borrow depends on two things. Firstly, it depends on your household income when you started being a student. And for the majority of students, especially students coming straight from school, having done their A-levels, this is going to be your parents' income. So this is a means-tested grant. And what that means is that they're going to have a look at how much your parents are earning, and they're going to decide from that how much you're going to get from the student company. The other factor at play for how much maintenance loan you get is going to be where you're studying. Studying in London, it being way more expensive than any other part of the country, means that you're going to get a little bit more money. So the maximum amount anyone could get right now in 2020 from the Student Finance Company is about £12,000 for their maintenance loan. To get that £12,000, you're going to be getting the maximum amount because of the means testing, and you're going to need to be living in London. Now, £12,000 sounds like a lot, and it is. It's a lot of money. But in London, it doesn't go that far. And even with the maximum amount of student loan, you're going to still need to budget like mad to make that last. A little bit about the debt itself. I know I said that that's completely different from any other type of debt, and I really meant that. The way that you repay your student loans is not like the way you repay any other loan. Student loan is repaid by graduates as they start to earn. It's almost like a tax. And I think a much better name for student loans or student debt would be a graduate contribution. So the way this works, once you start earning above a minimum threshold, and this year I think it's about £26,000, they have a look at the money you're earning over that threshold, and you're going to be taxed about 9%. So let's say you're earning £27,000, you'll be earning £1,000 more than the minimum threshold, and so 9% of that £1,000 is going to be given to the Student Finance Company to repay your debt. If you're earning below the amount of the threshold, you get taxed nothing. And this amount of tax is independent for every income stream you have. So let's say you're working two jobs and both jobs are earning less than the threshold, you would still be paying back nothing. Some students are a little bit up in arms about the fact that you are still charged interest on the amount that you've borrowed. And I think I'm a bit in two minds about that. You're charged interest while you're studying. You're charged the RPI plus 2.5%. So currently that is sitting at about 5.5% total interest every year. And then once you've graduated, you pay interest depending on how much you're earning. So if you're earning below that threshold, you're going to be charged the minimum amount of interest, which is 2.5%. And that increases with your earnings until you're earning about £40,000. Then you're going to be charged the maximum again, 5.5%. The vast majority of students will never pay off their student debt. And that's because you only pay it off a very small amount at a time, 9% over the threshold, that's it. And the other reason is that debt disappears after 30 years. 30 years after you graduate, the debt's gone. The BMA recently said that the vast majority of doctors will not pay off their student debt. So I think a much better way of thinking about student debt is a graduate contribution. This is, you're paying 9% of your salary as a tax towards the fact that you went to university, towards the fact that you needed to go to university to get this job. As we've already said, the amount that people are going to be getting for their tuition fee is pretty much the same across the board. It's about £9,000 a year for that tuition fee. The maintenance loan is different for everyone. So there's a maximum amount which people have been getting if they're living in London and they have a lower household income before they started being a student, and then it will gradually reduce depending on your household income and where you're living. Even on that maximum £12,000 living out of home in London, you're going to struggle to make that last. Rent in London is quite expensive. The cost of living in London is expensive. If you're somewhere like King's, you've got to commute between sites, and so you've got quite big travel costs. Budgeting is really important at university, and you're going to make that money go a lot further if you're sensibly budgeting. But also, you can top that up, so you can work while you're studying. I've worked a job the entire time I've been a student. I'm currently in the 6th year of being a student at King's College London, and I've worked every single year. It's definitely possible. I got my first job at university the same month I started, so I started in September 2014 now, and I started working in a pub just next to the university campus that same month. Why have I worked the whole time I've been at uni? Well, as I've said, that money doesn't actually go as far as you think it will. I think also I'm someone who doesn't really like the idea of just getting a lump sum every 3 or 4 months. I want to have money constantly coming into a bank account. And also, I had the time and I was able to, and so why not? So I've worked loads of different jobs across several industries during my time at university. I've generally moved on when either better opportunities come up, or I've got bored of doing whatever it is I'm doing, or sometimes it just doesn't work to be maintaining a job while you're studying for exams, and so you need to let one go and pick one up afterwards. There are loads of jobs that you're able to work while being a medical student. There aren't really many jobs that you couldn't work, to be honest. I know people who've worked in hospitality, retail, the service industry, people who've worked in call centres, as tutors, kind of everything across the board. Of course, especially as a medical student and as a student of any kind, your studying should be your priority. So you should never be prioritising working hours over studying, and really don't let needing to work or having to go to work let you fall behind on studying or coursework or exams. If you do find yourself in financial hardship, maybe there's been a big bill come in that you weren't expecting, maybe you just weren't as on top of your budgeting as you thought you might be, maybe you've lost your job for some reason, maybe because of coronavirus, do get in contact with your university or with one of the hardship funds that are available. If you're a medical student, the Royal Benevolent Fund does have some hardship funds for medical students in the UK. So what jobs have I done as a medical student? Well, I'm going to talk you through my top 3 jobs that I worked as a medical student. So my third best, or my least favourite of the 3, was working in a bar. Working in hospitality is a great way to make a bit of money on the side. You can normally get really flexible hours, evenings, weekends, times when you're not supposed to be studying anyway. And the pay is okay, starting off about £10 an hour. It's well above minimum wage normally. I started off working in a big chain pub. So initially that first job I got when I started university, I was only 19, and so I was earning about £5 something an hour. So that was about the minimum wage. I was earning exactly minimum wage actually for my age. So I moved on from that pretty quickly and found a job where I was able to earn a bit more. Obviously there are a little bit of other kind of incentives working in hospitality. You often get very good discounts or even free food wherever it is you're working. So if you can work around the corner from where you live, get discounts for some friends, that sort of thing, that really does help. You also get tips. And if you're working in somewhere like central London, the tips are okay money. Another option that's quite similar to hospitality in terms of earning potential would be working in retail. I know lots of friends who decided that was better for them. They preferred the kind of working in a shop floor environment. Maybe they liked shopping a bit more and they enjoyed having those discounts a bit more. The only thing is that with retail, the hours are often quite a lot stricter. So with hospitality, you might be able to start a shift at 8 p.m. and finish at 3 a.m. and then get on with your weekend afterwards. Retail is much more like 9 to 5. I actually really enjoyed working in hospitality, especially in my early years of university, because it gave me an opportunity to just kind of switch off that sciencey learning part of my brain for a little bit. It meant I could just get on with a service job, which I quite enjoyed doing. So the second favourite job I had working at university was working as a barista in a cafe. I started off as a barista and then kind of progressed up to supervisor, where there's kind of significantly more money. You're able to earn £13 to £15 an hour doing that sort of thing. I love coffee. I really don't mind early starts, and it meant that I could work, say, the whole of Saturday, Sunday morning, and then still feel like I had a whole 2 days of weekend. The favourite job I've had and the highest earning job I've had at university has been working as a tutor or a science teacher. Although it's significantly more work per hour, you have to put in a lot of unpaid hours to be a tutor, the pay overall is just significantly better. Right now I'm working as an online tutor mostly. I've not really decided to get back into the classroom or the home environment with coronavirus. And the going rate for experienced A-level or GCSE tutor is between £40 and £45 an hour. The best way to get started with tutoring is through online tutoring websites. I've tried loads. I signed up for things like MyTutor, TutorHub, Tutor Doctor, all of them. If it's out there, I've probably tried it at some point. The majority didn't work for me. So with most of them, I never ended up hearing anything from anyone. I never got any requests to tutor. I never got any messages from the team offering me any kind of support. At the start of coronavirus, I decided to really kind of double down on the tutoring. So I was at home, I was just finishing my BSc, and so I had a bit more time. So I decided to really kind of try and up my game in terms of the online tutoring. And I signed up with a website called SuperProf. And for me, anyway, SuperProf has really worked. Lots of these websites, they make their money, because obviously they need to make money somehow. Lots of these make their money as a commission. So they take a cut of whatever it is you earn, and you never see that. Parents pay the company and the company pays you. With SuperProf, it's kind of flipped, and as a tutor, you are paying them to become a premium tutor. And in this way, your listings are shown higher. You get insurance on your lessons, so that if someone doesn't turn up, you're able to claim that back as long as you booked it through the website. But you get 100% of what you earn, which is really fantastic. Obviously, tutoring is quite a kind of personal experience. It requires you to build some rapport with the person you're tutoring, or even with their parents. And so even though private tutoring, which is where you've connected yourself with your client, is much more lucrative, there's no middleman to pay or take a cut, it's also very hard. You have to put in a lot of work, you've got to meet people and network. And unless you already have a big bank of parents of people going through their GCSEs and A-levels, it's going to be very hard to find people who are willing to pay you to tutor their kids. So I really recommend at least starting off on these online websites where all you need to do is create a profile, create an advert for your lesson, and then people will be on the website looking for tutors anyway and find you. Currently, as a fourth year medical student, I'm tutoring for 6 hours a week. I tutor Wednesday, Friday, Saturday evenings, and an hour on Saturday morning as well. I mostly now do big group classes. There's quite a lot more money when you're able to teach more people at once, and it also means that you can prepare a kind of a single lesson and teach it to multiple people. The really great thing about tutoring is that when you put that effort in before your lesson, you've made a resource that you're able to then reuse. So I know that starting out as a tutor can be really daunting, especially if you start with a new client. Maybe they've asked you something specific about a syllabus. As long as you've gone through the A-level or the GCSE yourself, you can either look back at the resources you have, if you still have those, or there's just so many fantastic resources available online now as well. If anyone is curious about starting as a tutor, that's something I'm really happy to teach or mentor anyone with, so please do get in contact. I've really enjoyed filming this episode for you guys. I love talking about money, work, finances. It's a big passion of mine. So if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more.